Alright, here's an NU match against DaveyTwelve of YouTube. He leads with Rampardos as I lead with Sharpedo. I figure he'll switch, so I'll get a free surf on whatever he switches in, but he makes a good move into Quagsire. Now I go with the Dark Pulse, hoping to get a flinch to maybe 2-hit KO it. And I noticed that one Dark Pulse does not quite half, as he gets Toxic off on me. I figure I might as well hit it with another Dark Pulse, but he makes a good switch into Reggie Ice right here, and he manages to take it pretty well. Now I decide to switch here, thinking he'll try to Thunder Wave, and I go into Quagsire, but he goes for a Thunderbolt instead, but I'm immune to it nonetheless. Now I wasn't sure if he was going to stay in or not, so I get the Toxic off here, hoping to cripple anything, but he makes another good move into Venomoth as unaffected. Now I go into Mug, knowing I'll be able to take anything Venomoth hits me, except for Psychic, of course, and I go with the Curse. Now he goes into Rampardos here, and my dumbass here forgot that Rampardos has an attack of 471, and I stay in. He goes with the Earthquake, and I wasn't sure if I was able to live or not. Luckily I was max HP and over 300 defense after one Curse, and I managed to live with 20 hit points. I hit it with a Poison Jab, and it does about 1/4 of damage, but I don't get the poison, so I decided to switch out to Sandslash here to take the Earthquake, and it does a little bit more than half, and then after lefties I can live another Earthquake. So I decided to go with the Stealth Rock here instead of Earthquake, knowing he'll switch out, and he goes into his Pinsir Cutsman here, and I decided to stay in, and he goes with the X-Scissor. I wasn't sure if he thought I was going to switch out or not, but I decided to go with the Stone Edge, and I managed to get a crit, not knowing if it would have mattered or not, because I do have attack EVs invested in this Sandslash as his Pinsir goes down. He goes back into Venomoth as it takes Stealth Rock damage, and I switch out back into my Mug as Death Fodder. And I thought maybe he would have been able to live, but Energy Ball managed to take it out. I go into Nidoking here, and I thought about going Earth Power or Ice Beam, but fearing the flyer, I go into Ice Beam, and I managed to get Delcatty here as it manages to live with about 10 HP left. Now I know he was going to go with the Fake Out, and I knew I'd live at least a hit, so I decided to stay in. Next turn he goes Sucker Punch and gets close to taking me out as I hit it with Earth Power and finish out the Delcatty, and I managed to live with 10 HP after Life Orb damage. He goes into Venomoth, and knowing I don't need Nidoking anymore, I decide to stay in and just let it faint to Venomoth's Energy Ball. Now I go to my Pinsir here as a Revenge Killer, and it decides to switch out, and I decide to Earthquake knowing I'll hit anything that comes in. Goes into Quagsire, and Quagsire takes it pretty well, at least enough for me, knowing that I don't think I can 2-hit KO it, so I decide to switch out into my own Quagsire as he goes for the Recover and restores nearly all of its health back. Now here I predicted him to switch back into Venomoth, so I go with the Earthquake over the Toxic as he wins a speed tie and gets Toxic off on me first. And I do about maybe a little less of 1/4 damage to his Quagsire. Now next turn I overpredict again, thinking he'll switch into Quagsire, but he goes for the Earthquake as he stays in, and I hit his Quagsire with another one of my EQs as well. Now I take more poison damage, and it's really starting to take a toll on me. So next turn I decide just to play it safe, go with the Toxic, and it pays off as he stays in and goes for another Earthquake as I go down to more than half of my health as I cripple his on all the hit, or Quagsire, I'm sorry. Now this turn I decide to Recover, knowing he'll win the speed tie again, and so I managed to live the Earthquake with a little, or about 40 health, and I recover up to green and a little bit more after lefties, but I still take more toxic damage, and so does he. And here I thought about what to do on my next turn. I didn't want to leave Quagsire knowing he'll be taking even more toxic damage, so I go into Sandslash knowing he'll take the Earthquake more, as he gets a free recover off me, and I get some lefties gain, and he takes even more toxic damage. Now I decided the Earthquake here, knowing Sandslash will do more damage with Earthquake than Quagsire because of my attack EVs invested. And it does about probably 1/3 of a damage, maybe a little more. At least enough to hopefully get it to switch out as he gets toxic damage off of me. Now, he takes more toxic damage and I'm pretty sure he's going to recover here. So I stay in hoping that Earthquake will possibly KO it, but he manages to survive and get the recover off and goes back up to green as I get more lefties also, but again toxic, withering me down slowly. Now he takes more toxic damage and he gets forced to switch and he goes into Regice. Regice takes some nice stealth rock damage and I go with the Earthquake. I hit it with the Earthquake here and it takes it down to more than half. Now here I thought for the longest time whether to go Earthquake again or Stone Edge, and after the lefties recover I decided to go Stone Edge hoping I don't miss, and luckily enough I managed to hit it and take it out. And I thought this was crucial here. I recovered a little with lefties, but Poison takes me down to 9 health points, but I managed to live and stay in. I go with the Earthquake here hoping that I would take out Quagsire, but once again he manages to live enough to get a recover off as he toxic stalls me out and my Sandslash goes down. Luckily here I get some toxic stall off of him as I decide to go into my own Quagsire and turn this into a little Star War. Now this pissed me off. I go into my Quagsire and he gets a critical hit on me. Takes out my Quagsire, and here I'm thinking, okay, I don't know if I'm going to win this anymore. So I go to Sharpedo knowing that he has less than half his health. I go with Dark Pulse, but he switches out into his Rampardos as Death Spotter, as Dark Pulse easily takes it out because of course it's very fragile. Now he goes into Venomoth as I take more poison damage here, and I'm pretty sure by now that it's Scarf, but he hasn't seen my final move, which is Aqua Jet, and I managed to hit his Venomoth here as I take more poison damage and take his Venomoth out. Now he goes back into his final Pokemon, Quagsire, and I hit it with a Dark Pulse and managed to take it out for the win. And so that was a good game. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe.